Dana, where's the clicker? Oh, Sue's got it? You got it?
Cool. My name is Austin Bloom, class 35 with BBO Luxury Group at Keller Williams.
Maureen Aldridge with the Salt River Team America for Indian Community.
Dave Sobek from the Canby Hotel.
Patty Shanehart with Nationwide.
Stuart Christensen with USI Insurance Services.
Michael Bear, Sunland Asphalt.
Okay, so first I would like for everybody to please close your eyes and just bear with me for a moment. And I'll close my eyes as well. And clear yourself for a second. And just think of the first word or image that comes to mind when you hear the word homelessness. You can open them again. We were tasked with beautifying the entry for people that are experiencing that. So there's a lot of thoughts and emotion that goes into that. We were here with Family Promise, which is a local shelter, national, but Family Promise Greater Phoenix brings in homeless families, single mothers, and their children to give them an opportunity for hope and light, put a roof over their head and heal them from the littlest ones up. And so it's a magical experience. And now Dave, sorry.
Dave Sobek again. Good to see everybody. Side note, judges, I got a haircut for this, so I don't know if there's grooming points available. This is a Pliff haircut. I'm glad to share that. So our Pliff project, and how many of you called it Flip or Pilf throughout this time, because it's always very confusing, was to beautify the entrance stairs to Family Promise, the shelter in Scottsdale. So when we got to it, it was just a set of aggregate stairs. So we were at a Westworld event, and we were introduced to Ted Taylor and Sue Gifford, and Lisa, and we were all put in a room together with this group of people and those three. None of us really knew each other. Here's your Pliff piece of paper, here's your project. So we sat down together. Sue introduced Ted. Ted went into the description of Family Promise, their mission, and what our task was. It didn't take us long to know we were in the right room with the right people and the right leadership. Ted almost made me cry with his description of his passion and what Family Promise is doing. So the vision was to make the steps that you see our team standing on right there beautiful and more of a welcoming moment for these families who are having a really tough time. Moms, kids, etc. And you want to instill confidence in the mom too, that she made the right choice to bring the children here. And all of that happens at this place. So the original thought was, in day one, let's do a mosaic tile work on the steps. That would be awesome. So we're all Googling mosaic tile steps to find something cool. We talked through that and found that that wasn't as sustainable as perhaps some other options. So we huddled up. What are we going to do? How are we going to do this? Team huddles and says, okay, what strengths do we each possess in our team? How are we going to divide this up? How do we get this done? First task was to, okay, we needed a call every week. That turned into a Tuesday, 7 a.m. Zoom call, which are always fun. As you can imagine, it's 7. So we started planning. Family Promise, meanwhile, has said to us, you have artistic license to do whatever you want on this design. So we started thinking. We collaborated, we talked, we Googled, as we all did for everything. We met with Jeff at Scott Allen Creative, who does work with Family Promise. We wanted to make sure we didn't disrupt the brand of Family Promise with our decision. I also introduced the concept to my class at Grand Canyon University and asked for feedback on what would you like to see walking up the stairs if you're 8, if you're 12, if you're 15. Great feedback from them. So we ended up with tons and tons of ideas. Balloons, music, stars, rockets, lily pads, color, rainbows. All of this is all coming at us fast. So now we have all this. Who is going to do this? Well, Sue, who was an awesome person on our team that led us and kind of reined us in, as you can imagine, sometimes. She introduced us to Laura, the artist over here. We gave Laura this bucket of ideas that we came up with, and lo and behold, Laura turned it into everything you're seeing right here, which is pretty awesome. And throughout this process, we wanted to include as many people as possible. We talked to the Girl Scouts and wanted them involved. It made more sense in the Mosaic version, but we shifted gears and didn't find a spot for them in our project. But they found another project at Family Promise. Note that bench there for further discussion on what they ended up doing. One little hiccup along the way, we gave Laura the wrong dimensions of the stairs. Hey Laura, they're 2 by 1. Laura, they're actually 1 by 2. Is that okay? Can you fix that? She had already done 2, and then quickly came back with 2 more of the right size without a hiccup, with a smile, I might add. And that's all the stage here. So I'm going to pass it along to Stuart, who's going to talk about memorable moments, which were there were plenty.
So, thank you all for being here today. There was a lot of memorable moments throughout this. I'm sure everyone who was involved in their project had many as well. What was interesting about that, well, meeting Ted, if anybody's met Ted before, and I'm sure you're going to have a chance to talk to him after, you can't help but to remember him and his passion in the work that he does for Family Promise. I think all of us in that room together, it was a small room, so it was very emotional, and primarily because of what Ted charged us with, which was, this is my bar, this is what I'm bringing, and I want you guys to meet me up here. So we were all pretty nervous that we could meet his expectations. This is the picture on the far to your right of Ted explaining our first meeting. Hey, here's our facility. This is what we're trying to do. This is what it means to the families that are coming in. Ted didn't have any idea of what we were going to do. He said, you have creative license. Do what you think is the right thing, which is a little scary. Sometimes you're like, yes, we get to do what we want. We were all kind of like, ugh. This is, okay, well, we're going to go with that. He thought we were going to do some stock art after we shifted gears. So he'd actually know what we were bringing to the table. When we brought these paintings, the beautiful paintings that Laura did, he was absolutely floored. I think the whole team was, Lisa, Sue, all of us. But they didn't meet until this was in production. When Laura and Ted got together and got to meet and talk about their own visions and how we were able to bring this together, it was absolutely an amazing experience. That picture is all of us actually standing together for the first time as a group. Extremely memorable, something we're never going to forget. These weekly Zoom calls, Zoom sounds a lot like doom. I'm sure everyone's probably experienced these Zoom calls throughout the last year. They weren't doomed for long. For us, the weekly Zoom meetings became something we looked forward to. This team has become kind of an extension, I think, of our own families. We're very close to each other. We got weekly updates from Patty. How are your kids doing on their sports endeavors? Michael's traveling back and forth to Ohio. How are your kids doing? David with his job change. Even for me, we started giving each other unsolicited parenting advice. I had a conflict with one of our Zoomsday meetings, and it was a dad's and daughter's donuts day. That's not my thing. I think out of all my 4 kids, I might have been to 1. And I was like, I got this thing. I can make the Zoom call. Everyone said, time out. You're going to this, and you're going to wear donut pants. Michael drove from Scottsdale to Phoenix to drop off those pants that I wore. I felt special, but I was also really embarrassed because I don't want attention. I'm not in the room trying to, hey everybody, it's me, donut pants guy. But you can see on my daughter's face the joy that brought to her. She made that tie for me. I didn't know that, so I got there and it matched with my donut pants. So Michael said, you'll be the biggest hit, and I was, and now I feel like I'll have to wear these for the rest of my life at every event. But that's the kind of team that we brought together, and that was because of the bar it's the expectation that Ted set, the energy that he had, the leadership that Sue brought, the servant leadership that Lisa had, and also the artistry and the vision and the you know, the gift of time and service that was brought to this project. So those are some of the memorable moments that we had.
So the boring finances. We know that we need funds. And so without even knowing what we were actually going to do, we knew we had to raise money immediately. And so the first thing we did is we created a flyer, and we took advantage of the tax credit tax season. So we started posting on social media. Whatever platform we were a part of, we were sharing. We were also sharing with our family and friends. But what made it most successful and why we are still in the black is because every single one of us gave, and we were bought in, and we knew we wanted to give. And when I say every single one of us, that includes our mentor who led so fearlessly for us. And so we were able to fundraise and keep ourselves in the black for future use if they want to change this up. And then we're talking about maybe even 7 to 10 years, because that's how long it can last. The beautiful thing too is that Lisa and I connected. She knew our Zoom meetings were on Tuesday mornings. So Monday, by end of business day, she shot me over a report on what our finances look like. I shared that with the team and made sure I reported out every Tuesday morning. She also put together to bring it all together, a beautiful thank you that included the picture of the stairs the picture that we were going to use for the stairs for our donors. And we know that there's going to be future donors. We know that we are always going to be attached and connected to Family Promise. We also had an unveiling, revealing, whatever you want to call it, recently. And with that, we also had in-kind donations. Chick-fil-A paid for all the breakfast and brought breakfast for everyone. We had many of you there, thank you. And the route we ended up going, Blue Media was one of them. They ended up giving us a discount on that. So we ended up getting in-kind, Laura, her time and talent. So the financial piece, above and beyond the money that we received, the time and talent and the discounts, it added up above and beyond to what you're seeing right now. So it was an awesome teamwork on the financial piece. We're so excited that we're in the black, and we know that that number is just going to go up for Family Promise. I'm going to hand it over to Maureen now.
Thank you. So sustainability has always been top of mind. Of course, Scottsdale Leadership Sustainability, I think it should be a new name. Always top of mind for us, not only for the test of time, but also the weather in Arizona. It's like this is facing the sun day in, day out. And we thought it was going to go mosaic and have a permanent piece there, but we were concerned about that. So once we learned that there was an opportunity to do the vinyl wrap steel, something that would last 7 to 10 days, we're like, yes, this is a perfect opportunity for us. And then to understand that we can inexpensively change that artwork whenever Family Promise might decide to change. Maybe they'll even put a giant QR code on there for their capital investment project. Who knows? But we all have all these other opportunities that they can easily do too. And yes, that's going to cost some money, but as Patty just said, we have that in reserves. In addition, Laura generously donated all these canvases to Family Promise. So we are going to be engaged in their future grand opening, where I believe they're going to be auctioning those off. So if anybody wants one of those, you be sure to get on that wait list to get over to that event. But it was very generous, and we know that they'll raise a lot of money for that in the future as well. But the other intent was not just art. Yes, this was an art project, but honestly it was more than that to us. Once we learned about the mission of Family Promise and their passion, it just became contagious for us too. And we wanted to share that mission, we wanted to share that communication to the world. If we could scream it from the rooftops, we would. So we had the reveal event, and we invited the media, and they came out. Both AZ Big Media and Channel 3 hadn't heard of Family Promise before. They came to the event, as well as Scottsdale Progress, who screamed about Scottsdale Leadership in there too, so we were thrilled about that. But in addition to that, we had people like you guys that came to the event. Incredible attendance from Scottsdale Leadership founders and board members and stellar alumni, Arizona Arts Commission folks, as well as all of our families, which didn't know anything about Family Promise before. So we have become the ambassadors moving forward for Family Promise. And then the Girl Scout mention, we collaborated with the Girl Scouts, thinking that they can help us with the man hours of doing that mosaic tile. And we're like, well, we got a better idea, but you guys go, and they did, and they found this amazing project wherever it went. It's incredible stuff inside that playground. So with that, I am going to turn this over to Michael.
I get to do lessons learned, and I'm going to steal this from you real quick because, 30 minutes isn't enough time for us to tell you how many lessons we learned on this whole program. Through Scottsdale Leadership in general, leadership is in the word of what we're doing. One of the very first things that we did when we got together is Sue gave us a survey, and she went through all the different things about what we were going to do and what we wanted to see in a leader and what we wanted to get out of the group. And one of the comments that came back, multiple came back with a different wording of this, but one of the comments that came back said, I don't want to work for a dictator. So at Sunland, I've got 500 employees, and I guess that I would be the dictator. And so this was a little bit challenging.